Hello and happy homecoming. I'm Jordan Yaney. In these crazy times, a lot of things look different this year, including AU's 2020 homecoming. And while we won't be able to gather for the street fair or to cheer on our Ravens sports teams, we wanted to put something together that embodies what we all love about homecoming athletics, celebrating the past and the present of AU sports. We gathered players of all different experience levels and backgrounds, as well as coaches and alumni, to ask them about some of their experiences participating in athletics on campus. What we found was everyone's journey looks a little different, but the one uniting thing is the bond that players from all generations have with each other as Ravens. So to start off this journey, we asked a couple of current players and coaches to share with us what it is like to be a part of a sports team during a year where seasons have been put on hold, in-person contact is limited, and COVID-19 guidelines are strict.
We have to have our masks on at all times. We have no contact so far. We're not allowed to do any of that. We have all of our fitness tests that we have to do still though, so running with a mask isn't ideal, but it gets the job done.
Well, this fall we didn't start our normal 2 weeks before classes started. We started 2 weeks after classes started. We've been limited in what we can do. We haven't been able to do close contact. We're going to be working our way into that. So we're really just getting started right now, and hopefully things will work their way into more of a normal progression.
You know, we know right now we can meet the NCAA's medical testing guidelines as they currently stand. What we don't know is if the NCAA will decide to cancel the championship. What we don't know is how the medical and testing guidelines are going to change, if they change. What we don't know is how technology and scientific knowledge about the virus is going to change, if there's going to be a vaccine at some point. You know, there's so many variables right now.
There's obviously lots of hurdles now to cross and guidelines and regulations that we have to be conscious of. So that's made things a little more difficult. Knowing that we have those things in place and the people here at the institution did a phenomenal job of taking what we were given from the NCAA, what we were given from, you know, the national level even, from a health and safety standpoint. Those guidelines give us coaches an opportunity to say, okay, how do we fit what we do into these guidelines and give us a chance to be the best that we can be.
Right now we're split into 2 pods, so we have practices only Monday, Wednesday, and then the other group has it Tuesday, Thursday. And we all come together on Friday but stay on different courts. And so right now there's only about 10 of us in each pod, which makes it a little hard to do like live action scrimmaging kind of thing. So right now we're doing a lot of ball handling, a lot of partner work, and you know, just trying to get the basics down and just really regroup from those 5 months that we had off before we start our season.
Due to COVID, our structure of practice has changed quite a bit. We have to space out more when we do travel in vans, so it takes more van power and like manpower to drive us there. We also are only supposed to run in groups of 2, whereas we used to be able to do team runs, and we're supposed to warm up in our masks too, so that also affects our breathing.
So like when we start practice here in the next little bit here, we'll really start out in shorts and t-shirts with mask on in every drill. We'll start with our offensive line guys. They'll go ahead and wear their helmets and they have protective face shields because in every play of football, your offense and defensive line are right there, you know, and so we got to really take care of those guys. So we're doing everything we can to make sure we do things the right way.
Running in a mask is kind of hard sometimes. It's harder to breathe, but you got to do what you got to do to keep our community safe and stay on campus. So I guess it's worth it.
I mean, as long as we're doing what we're supposed to with our drills and our practice planning, social distancing really is just a natural aspect of the sport. I mean, we take the necessary precautions to clean down our equipment, to put on masks when we're having team functions, when we're in closer confines with each other, but for the most part our players are able to come out, take off the mask for a little bit, enjoy some fresh air, and have fun on the tennis court.
Golf is already like a socially distant sport when you think about it. So even when we got sent home from school last year and all the lockdowns happened, My local golf course actually was able to stay open just with certain guidelines, so I was still able to go out and golf. So even though we lost our season in the spring, I was still able to go out and kind of just play.
Every team is dealing with added rules and regulations as they prepare for their 2020 seasons, but some teams have had extra challenges to overcome. Tanner Barton, the former head coach of the swimming and diving teams, left the school following last year to take a job at John Carroll University. Up until last week, when AU officially announced the hiring of Tyler Dongus as the next head coach of the program, the team was forced to practice without a coach. Additionally, tennis coach Matt Moore is coming into his first year at AU during uncertain times, and many freshman athletes are having to adjust to college sports with increased restrictions.
Because we're without a coach right now, we do currently have Graham Carpenter, who was a swimmer at Ball State for a little while, but he's been running practices for us, and it also has looked a little different because of COVID-19. We've been doing our lanes separate, so one person per lane or people per lane on either side of the pool. But it's definitely been a learning process, and it's been different, just not having a full-time coach right now, and the uncertainty with that. But honestly, it goes to show that we've always done it for each other, for the swim team and the camaraderie, and not necessarily just for the coaches. We're not here for them. We're here for our camaraderie, and we're here to succeed and be the best people we can be.
The most difficult thing to adapt to in college has probably been all of the rules and regulations with COVID. Wearing a mask in your hall for the first 2 weeks, even like going to the bathroom, going into other people's dorm rooms. We're still not allowed to go onto any other floors in our rooms or in our hall. So it's pretty weird just getting used to all of the rules and regulations, staying 6 feet apart.
Coming in, obviously, we knew that there were going to be some ups and downs throughout the course of the season regarding the current public health situation. So I came in with an open mind, not 100% sure what to expect, and I think having no set expectations have allowed for myself and for our players to transition smoothly throughout all the ebbs and flows that we've had so far.
While AU has done a great job of keeping students safe and on campus, we are not immune to the challenges that come with a global pandemic. Freshman soccer player Mandy Williams was forced to quarantine in Terra East Apartments just a few weeks into her first year on campus due to someone she had been in close contact with testing positive for COVID-19.
That was stressful, for sure. I was at my sister's house, and I got a text from my roommate saying that she had been exposed. So I called my coach, and she said to expect an email. So it was very stressful packing up all my stuff and moving it into a completely different place. It was definitely weird, not ideal for my second 2 weeks here, but it wasn't awful. It protects everyone, and it's something we need to do. Terra actually wasn't too bad. You get your own kitchen and in your own bedroom, which is different from a dorm room, so it's actually pretty nice. And I mean, it's boring, but it's what you need to do to stay safe.
Despite the risks that come with practicing while the coronavirus is a threat, our coaches and athletes have been preparing for their upcoming seasons while doing everything they can to stay safe.
Here's a known. I will be here, and I'm going to give my best to our guys, and those who are here, we're going to do the most we can for them within the boundaries of being safe and give them the best opportunity we can within the boundaries of being safe. But we're not going to take unnecessary risks. We're going to abide by the NCAA's medical guidance, and we're going to, at that point, cross our fingers. We're going to say some prayers and see how things go, and hope that next year is different.
Staying apart and growing together may seem like contradictory terms, but our athletes are looking to continue to grow their relationship with their teammates, even though games won't be played until after the new year.
The volleyball team this year is super awesome. I love all the girls. We've done a pretty good job of still trying to bond and become a team, even though we have to be socially distanced, or the practice isn't exactly what we're ready or used to.
Probably my biggest thing that I've evolved as a basketball player would have to be just my mindset. I definitely focused a lot more on, as a freshman, just trying to be the best, I'd say, to now having fun and working as a team.
So to build as a team in cross country, we do spend a lot of time together on our longer runs, and it is a smaller team, so we get a lot of individualized time together.
We get to go out to Anderson Country Club, which is just a beautiful golf course, and we get to just kind of hang out, play 9 holes, and you get to just talk with the guys on the team. You really get to know them because you have 9 holes to just talk about basically whatever.
I really like the family aspect of the team and how everyone treats each other like they're meant to be there. You all earned your spot here, and you really treat each other like a family.
The relationship with my teammates over the past 4 years has been really strong. I started out, a freshman year. The chemistry wasn't as strong as it is now. It's definitely grown a lot. The girls have just become really close and like a tight-knit, and we've lost some players in the past, whereas now we haven't. So it's been nice to be able to grow together and really get to know each other.
Sophomore volleyball player Lawson Roberts wasn't a part of the team during her freshman year. Instead, she focused on her studies and was a part of AU's cheer team. After a year to adjust to college, she came back to volleyball, partially because she missed the game, but also because of the strong bond she had developed with her teammates and head coach Tammy Miller.
I would say the most beneficial thing she's taught me so far, not necessarily taught me, but just showed me throughout her coaching, is that, it's better to be compassionate to your players and to show them grace and mercy with the difficult times that are going around, and us having all of these different things we have to do now with the masks and just with the crazy time that we're in right now. She has really shown me what a coach's place can be in a student-athlete's life.
A lot can change from year to year within a team. One thing that our athletes and coaches made clear was establishing and developing a culture is essential for having success year after year.
It's been awesome. Our guys have just come in and done the small things that we've asked them to do. And again, when you're in the process of a culture change, you set some objectives and some standards and those kind of things, and you ask guys to live up to them. And each year that has continued to progress. And now to the point that we have the group of guys in here that understand what the culture is and know what the expectations are, that instead of having 5 coaches, from a full-time standpoint, to now we have, 45 other student coaches that can help those guys come in and learn what they need to from a standard standpoint.
To me, the biggest cultural difference has been the academic commitment of our players. So we have been above a 3.0 as a team for 11 semesters in a row. The National Association of Basketball Coaches gives a Team Academic Excellence Award every year. Less than 40 schools in the country, Division I, II, III, NAIA Junior College, have been on that list. Out of 1,500, have been on that list 5 years in a row. We're one of them.
So one thing that we look for on the tennis court is a term our players will hear quite a bit, and that's just maximizing their potential. So that's something that as a coach I've always believed in, that if they're out there putting in the time, the effort, and the energy, and their mind's in the right spot, wins and losses are going to happen not for any other reason than the fact that somebody outplayed us or we didn't play well on a given day. But if we go out and we maximize what we're capable of doing, we'll live with the outcomes of it.
The culture within the team has changed so much. And it's been an awesome thing just seeing how we've grown closer together, more teammate activities, and I've gotten some of my best friends I could ever ask for on the swim team.
To me, when I watch our team play, I think that we are known in the league as a group that's going to play really hard and execute. Doesn't mean we're always going to win, doesn't mean we're always going to make shots, but I think when we get off the bus, teams know we're going to have a fight on our hands when we play Anderson. And I love that.
I'd say we've definitely, in my perspective, we've gotten very close as a team. I guess it's just different as a freshman, you don't feel as close to the guys. But now it's hard to imagine a team that's, closer, and we're getting to know the freshmen. They're a really good group. So I feel really good going into this year about where we are and how we're going to play together.
I chose to come to AU because of Dunn Hall. I stayed the night in there with an upperclassman as I was coming in and as I was a senior. And it was just an incredible experience just to hang out with them and experience what it was like to be in college and just get a small taste of what is Dunn Hall. Turned out to be the best place I've ever lived.
I went to Anderson High School and then I chose Anderson University partially because they have a great computer science program and that's what I want to go into. Another reason that goes into that is Coach Fridley would come to my games. He scouted me. He wanted me to come play here. So that is another reason why I decided to come. I really wanted to play soccer here as well.
So I decided to go to Anderson because although it was close to home, I was never really going to go to college, like out of senior year of high school, but I decided, like I went on a visit here and I met like a lot of the team that day and just really like fell in love with the campus itself and like the people I had met.
I love the fact that our players all have well-balanced lives. That's something that when I came from the Division I world, I felt was missing a little bit with our athletes. And I really admire the fact that our athletes are truly dedicated to the classroom, they're dedicated to the sport, and they also make time for the other passions that they have in life as well.
I decided to come to AU for the great nursing program that it has. So that's what I went with, and then volleyball just happened to be here, and it happened to be what I wanted to do, and I love it.
So I started golfing in high school. My grandparents got me onto it. So I started golfing my sophomore year of high school. And when I was looking for colleges to go to, I realized that AU had a golf team. So I reached out to the coach and he said that he would love to have me. So just having the ability to also be able to golf while getting my education is just, I think, is a really awesome opportunity.
Things that I love about AU would be the community aspect and just being able to like express myself as a Christian.
I really love that everyone is so friendly. You go across campus and you can say hi to people, they'll say hi back, they'll smile at you.
Accepting the challenge of being a college athlete is no small task, especially at a Division III school where students do not receive scholarship money to play, but rather choose to play because of their love for the game.
I love the fact that I am now a college athlete.
You get to know a great group of guys. You get to become part of a family and a brotherhood, not to mention just the fun that, competitive sports brings.
Being a student athlete has added a lot of friends to my college experience and a lot more need for time commitment and management of time.
It just gives me a sense of like purpose, something that I'm doing here, another way to like represent my school. I feel proud to be like a Raven and to represent them as a volleyball player.
I think being a college athlete has really added to my experience at AU because I've, for one, developed a lot of really close friendships and companionships, but also it's really taught me a lot of discipline and taught me a lot of things about my body and how my body works from being in the training room and all those things. So it's been an incredible experience these past 4 years.
Although AU is now over 100 years old, coaches and players today still remember the history of how their programs were built.
When I think about the history of Anderson basketball, I think back to Jumpin' Johnny Wilson, Indiana Mr. Basketball, who came and played here because the Big Ten didn't allow black men to play sports at that time, right? And he's really the earliest guy associated with the program who I've had the chance to know briefly. He passed a couple of years ago. And it continues forward. Coach Mockholtz, who is here and very successful on the court. We've had alums like Ken Strawn, Dick Howell, Dick Leach, guys who played for Coach Mockholtz, who have been back in the gym. To me, there's a huge element of community and consistency amongst our alumni. When you think about the alums who give financially to our program, who come to practice, who attend games, to me, one of the biggest things, you talk about staying relevant, one of the biggest things has been the continuity and commitment of people and their loyalty to our program. Alums who played here come back, they stay involved, they seek out ways that they can support the program.
I know for a fact that there is a phenomenal history here, and that's one of the things that I tell our guys that we're going to build on. So from day one that I got here, I did go back and look at some of the history of AU and how at one point the program was really good from a football standpoint. And so that's why we came up with that hashtag, the resurgence. And this is year number 3. and we're still in the resurgence process. So it's not one of those things where it goes away after the first year. We got a long way to resurge to get to where where this program was in years past. So that's one of the things that we're shooting toward right now, is still in that resurgence concept. And again, I think as we start to pick it up from getting these guys a little bit older, we'll start winning more ball games, and that's what we're doing.
I know that the history of AU soccer is essentially Coach Fridley. Ever since the first day I came in as a freshman, we've been working on this field. We helped put up the fence behind me, actually, as a freshman. That was the first day we did that. We always take a couple days every year and work the whole day on the field. Not to mention the stuff that has also gone in, such as the bleachers, the team area. It all looks really good. Coach did a great job in pulling in the resources and the funding for all that.
It's been really encouraging to be able to get to know them and have this bond between them, kind of an unspoken bond, because it's oh yeah, you know. And it's been really nice getting to just even have something in common, to kind of an icebreaker in that way.
I know very little about the history of AU tennis, which is a great thing though. So I'm looking forward to being able to put my own stamp and my own mark on our history as we move forward. And I've got a group of student athletes that are really, I think, vested in what it is that we want to achieve, not only at the conference level, but really putting ourselves on the map as far as being one of the top Division III programs in the country.
As far as history of our team goes, we have a very young team. We have 3 sophomores and 5 freshmen, so it's very young, very dynamic. It's great to kind of grow up with the team.
I came from a background of not having programs started, so coming here to Anderson with a program that had not been established and not having alumni and all those things was something that I personally was used to. And honestly, going into this, a lot of the guys' attitudes going into this was, I wanted to make this place better than when I came into it.
One of the defining characteristics of this university is its faith-based focus. The coaches make sure that this isn't lost in the heat of competition.
So, we obviously, as a team, we spend quite a bit of time just in reflective prayer. So, we do a lot of mindfulness practices that also include faith-based components to them as well. It's one of the blessings of having an assistant coach that is a certified yoga instructor. So, there's a lot of things that we're able to do that I would venture to say a lot of programs, athletic related on our campus, are not necessarily able to carry forth on a day-to-day basis with practice. But, also just the basic principles that define our faith here at Anderson, and how do you carry that forward in your leadership activities, your commitment to service, and just the love that you show for your teammates as well.
The player-coach relationship is not one of equals, right? But I think to me, the first thing is I want to have a relationship with our players so that they trust me. So that when we talk about life or I hold them accountable on something, they believe that I care about them as people, not just in terms of what they can contribute on the basketball court. And that doesn't sound like faith right away, right? It's not small groups, it's not going to church, it's not reading the Bible, it's not some of those things. But to me, the opportunity to speak honestly with guys grows out of having a relationship of trust with them.
There are many aspects about AU athletics that are cherished by those who participate in them. But without alumni and coaches who were here in the past, being a Raven wouldn't look exactly the same as it does today. So we wanted to ask a few alumni about their experiences playing sports during their time in college to truly get a sense of how our university has changed.
There's a lot of different things that really drove me to come and play sports at AU, and one of them is the fact that AU is a very family-oriented place. Not only is it family-oriented, but it's Christian-oriented.
I went to Anderson basically because of the quality of education with the education program they had, and then the sports program they have for men's soccer. Kardatsky Wellness Center was just built, so I love that part of it.
What brought me to AU, I would say I loved the size of the campus, and I liked Coach Slider. He had stuck with me for 3 years recruiting me, and I just felt home, and it was close to home when I lived in Noblesville. So I really enjoyed that it was real close, and my parents got to come see me play.
First, I just think about being recruited and meeting Coach Maddox in the trailer before they built the Wellness Center, and just being really impressed with his commitment to the team, to the program, and just knowing that he was going to be tough, that he wanted us to succeed. But on the other hand, also knowing that he cared a lot about us as people, about our faith, and about our academics.
One of the things that really drew me to AU was Coach Handy. I was lucky enough I actually got to know him when I was in middle school, because I would go to camps every summer that he was a coach at. And so I kind of developed a relationship with him over the years, and I knew that he was a type of coach that would push you to play really hard, but he would also push you really hard outside of basketball to make you become the best student you can be and the best person that you can be.
And one of my favorite memories was watching Coach Shade actually get on the court with us and play a couple of scrimmage games. She's very, very competitive. I don't think she knew, but I was very tickled inside.
Now, our culture as a football program, we had a family-like culture. We had a lot of different players from many different backgrounds and many different winning programs, and we were all able to relate to one another. Not only were we able to do that, but we were able to hold each other accountable.
When I think about the culture that we had as a team, we had a no-lose attitude. Everybody brought it night in and night out, and we had great records my 4 years playing.
Coming in, everything for me was about winning, and so learning more of the teamwork aspect of it, and it really played into the part of when I actually got a job outside of AU. Learning that teamwork part of the game was huge for me, and it was something that I learned, and I gained a lot of relationships through all of the teams that I had at AU, and I'm still really good friends with a lot of the players that I played with. So it's something that I'll always cherish and always remember from the teams at AU.
You know, the culture of the team that we had, it was like a brotherhood. It was like a family. We would get there in the summers before everyone else. We would get to have the campus to ourselves. The football team was there, the volleyball team, the boys and girls soccer team, cross country, all the fall sports were there, and it was kind of nice to have that time to build relationships with the incoming freshmen, the transfers, the new players.
Two of my favorite memories, one from cross country would be Camp Warner, just taking that trip up there, painting cabins, just getting to know our teammates every year, ice cream, long runs, and just really cherished that time that we had at cross country camp. And then for track, definitely the trips to Atlanta, just getting to know everybody, getting to take that road trip during the semester, and just the long conversations on the bus ride, and just getting to be challenged in different ways throughout the track team seasons.
But a lot of times we would do lake days at the beginning of season to get to know each other. We did it with our athletic trainers, with our coaches, with all the players, and it was just a really great experience to get to know everyone and set the stage for the whole season.
One great memory that I have as an AU football player was when we won our homecoming game in 2014 against Hanover. And one thing that I remember from that game is when, we were down by one possession. We had about 3 minutes left in the game, and Deontez Alexander, I'll never forget it. He had a kickoff return for a touchdown that sealed the deal, and we sent those guys home. And it was just an amazing moment as an AU football player and for the campus of AU.
When I think about some of the memories I have from playing, my top one would probably be when we were all sitting around the conference table waiting to hear if we got an at-large bid into the Division III tournament. When we got it, it was one of the greatest feelings I've had playing basketball, knowing we're going back to the tournament for the first time in a long time for AU.
One of my favorite memories was, I think it was my sophomore season over Christmas break. We took a trip to San Antonio where we played in a tournament. It was just kind of fun hanging out with the guys outside of campus in a different city where we could go exploring and do our own thing. Obviously, we were competing while we were there, but we had a lot of fun just getting to know each other and growing our friendships while we were there outside of basketball.
Some of my best moments, obviously the road trips are fun, especially when you're getting to bond with some teammates and hit up some restaurants, Cracker Barrel all the time, and get to play on these, get to travel and play at these universities and colleges around the Midwest, and that's fun. I mean, you can't ride the charter buses and travel. It's a good time.
So while everything is crazy this year with COVID and everything, we're definitely proud to be Ravens at heart. We look forward to being back on campus with everyone someday. But in the meantime, God bless and go Ravens.
From 1917, when Anderson Bible Training School was founded, to 2020, when most things in this world have been put on hold, one thing remains the same. Once a Raven, always a Raven. And whether we have to wait until 2021 or even longer, fans of this great university will be thrilled to see the next chapter of AU sports written, whenever it may come.